So when it comes to lighting, we want to go over to our weather tab. Okay, I'm going to be talking about a couple different lighting systems in Lumion, but by default, the simplest and the quickest way to do any sort of lighting is using this tab, the weather tab. Okay, so what we have here is basically a compass, and this is the direction that the sun's coming from, right? So as I click and drag, you can see the position of the sun changing. Pay attention to the shadows here and on the building. Okay, so this is the angle where it's coming from, and then this is the actual height. So notice how once I made it dark, the stars appear, and then if I do this, it looks more like a morning sun. So because of this, this is a dynamic lighting system, which is really useful for like very specific, times of days, but it's not going to be as realistic as something that they have, but it's not going to be as realistic as something like an HDRI. I'll talk about that in a moment. So before moving to that, we also have a couple sliders here. This is going to control how bright the sun is. So you can really dial in exactly what you want, right? Like the cloudiness, right? The actual brightness, wind speed and everything. This is good if you just want quick basic lighting and you need it dialed in. Real skies that I was talking about, if I click this and I start moving the rotation, you're not going to see a big difference now until we render, but you might catch what's going on. Notice how I've lost some of my settings. I still have sky brightness, but I can't change the time of day, right? The reason is this image, okay, this HDRI, is driving the lighting and the shading information for the render scene. If I click this, I have different profiles, right? So this is a cloudy scene. Let me try something sunset just so you can see what's happening. So now it changed the backdrop here. And now I'm getting a lot of this this purple, these blue colors, right? And it's all coming from this one image, right? It's not a dynamic system. All I'm doing is rotating this image that's being spun around, okay? So these are like the two basic ways of getting lighting. And it's really going to depend on what you need, right? Do you need pure precision or do you want more realism? Okay. And this is going to apply to your editor by default. In the render mode, which we'll talk about in a moment, that's where you can actually dial in every single hotspot or camera position to have different lighting setups. Let's talk a little bit about that. So when it comes to rendering, right, we've done all this work, we've created a beautiful exterior scene, we're ready to create renderings. We're going to need to move over to photo mode. So before I do that, I'm just going to go back to cloudy, just so I've got like something with like proper lighting and everything.